Auntie Henry, we're back at it again. Just wrapped up my chores, and it's a very gorgeous day out here in sunny Southern California, Camarillo, California, more specifically. The birds are chirping. It's going to be about 75 degrees, 80, no more than 80. But a very nice day to get out and about and do something besides work, right? So if you can avoid it, try to figure out how to spend more time enjoying life. The beautiful weather, getting out and about, doing something for yourself as compared to your employer or whatever that's occupying most of you guys' time out there. So just a little word of advice. What's going on? Before I forget, Apple, along with Google, along with Alibaba, along with who else? Major players out there. Google, Lowe's. Lowe's improvement stores, their revenue or sales suck. And this is no coincidence, you guys. Okay, when you have companies this large, Alibaba is one of the largest. Google is one of the largest. Apple is one of the largest. Lowe's is very large. You name it. Facebook revenue is down. Typically you don't have a bunch of companies all together. Excuse the noise. Okay. Typically, you don't have a number of companies this large, pretty much all at the same time, within a few weeks of each other, saying that sales and revenues, net profit is down. Pretty much all together. If one industry is up, typically the other one is down, and vice versa. Things typically are cyclical, and in the stock market you have sector rotation. Money comes out of one area that's not so hot, goes into the other areas that are hot, and money rotates around. But as I pointed out, you got to listen carefully. The money is struggling very hard. People's money, investors' money, is struggling very hard to find some place to hide, to find somewhere where you can get decent returns and park that money in a relatively safe place, but getting decent returns. And that's an issue right now. And I've been doing this for 25 or 30 years or something, so I can tell you this is extraordinarily a difficult, weird situation that we're in right now. So many areas of the economy are falling apart. When you have Lowe's improvement stores, for instance, talking about closing 40 to 50 stores, that tells you the real estate market sucks. High interest rates, which have been kept artificially low for so long, they're going up, right? So the real estate market, which has been experiencing a sluggishness for a while now. Just look at home builder stocks. There are certain indicators that you can look at, and they'll tell you that there's very little activity. So when you don't have people that can afford starter homes, and the only activity is at the very, very high end with $30, $40, $50 million homes being sold, and a lot of those are discounted when they're finally sold, including Warren Buffett's and everybody else's. That doesn't bode well for the little guy at the very bottom looking for a starter home, and no home builder in their right mind wants to put any great amount of money into building starter homes, knowing full well that there's very little profit in that right now. So anyway, there's just a number of indicators. Look at the indicators, pay attention, keep your eyes and ears open. Let's take a look at what else is going on here. My name is Monty Henry. I'm the owner of DPO Surveillance Equipment. I run a full-service surveillance and security equipment company. We have lifetime guarantees and warranties on all the products. We have 24/7, 365 tech, sales, and customer support. We have a large and growing media library, plenty of podcasts, blogs, articles, demonstration videos, the largest in the industry as far as the collection of educational, top-quality information, according to my readers and listeners and people that are consuming that information, which is all free and educational. They're telling me that it's high quality, so I have to believe it. So yeah, go to the media library, take advantage of that. If you have Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, or Bcash, patronize our shopping cart. Use your cryptocurrencies to purchase your favorite lifetime guaranteed and warranted, state-of-the-art, law enforcement grade, fully supported around the clock tech sales and customer supported products. With your crypto wealth, we know that spending your crypto wealth is totally different from spending the crappy fiat currencies like the dollar or whatever, where 90% of its value has been lost. So that's going to be very difficult for a lot of you guys who are spending fiat as compared to cryptocurrency. So learn the difference. And also, the website has been newly redesigned, and it's easy to view it on your mobile device, your smartphone, laptop, desktops, PDAs, doesn't matter. I spent a lot of money with a professional website designer finally, and now it looks good and it works great. So take advantage of that while you can. We're going to get away from MasterCard and Visa and American Express, the typical financial industry overall. You got to learn that the creature from Jekyll Island is a very educational tome dedicated to making people understand the difference between what the traditional fiat economy represents, the central bankers and the Federal Reserve and all those guys. The Visas, American Express, Discovers, they're out to get you. They're out to take advantage. They are experts in terms of what financial oppression means. So you have to learn the difference. MasterCard and Visa, American Express, all those guys have been extracting tons and tons of money from you guys' wallets, my wallet included, for a long, long time. That's why we're going to phase them out of our shopping cart on our website. So make sure you understand that the $70 billion annually that they get from merchant processors and retailers like myself, that is money that we could put to use, hiring more people, doing more advertising, lowering prices, offering free shipping, other perks to you guys as compared to just giving it to someone who says, this is what it costs to move money around. When we all know that computers sending digits and bits and bytes back and forth to each other across a network like the internet is virtually free and doesn't entail a lot of labor. So make sure you guys understand the difference in terms of what that has to offer. Besides, those guys go on and on and on.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Those guys go on and on and on talking about illicit funds and how Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are associated with illicit funds activity, child pornography, gambling, money laundering, etc., etc. But if you look at the settlements that are associated with J.P. Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Citibank, UBS, HSBC, we tell you guys over and over again, that money is exponentially significant as compared to whatever could take place in the cryptocurrency space. When J.P. Morgan Chase settles for $13 billion, when Danske Bank in Eastern Europe launders $260 billion, when Wells Fargo gets caught red-handed over and over and over again, cheating people, opening up fake accounts, manipulating currency rates, exchange rates, etc., along with American Express. When J.P. Morgan Chase is caught LIBOR rigging, in addition to hiring influential family members of Asian families in order to get business from those wealthy Asian partners in China, for instance, that's against the law. That's against the rules. And the things that they're getting away with, no one could ever get away with. No bankers, no high-level executive, no one's going to jail on that side of the table. So make sure you guys understand the difference. You're told a lie about cryptocurrency and bitcoins and how they're a threat and how they're just a nuisance and a fad and associated with tulips and everything else. But even that rhetoric is starting to die down because we're learning that fidelity wants to do custodial services for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. We're learning that Morgan Stanley wants to do the same thing and open up maybe a trading desk. We're learning that J.P. Morgan Chase, despite what Jamie Dimon's saying, wants to offer cryptocurrencies to its clients. So we're learning that ICE, the New York Stock Exchange owner, wants to also offer services, partnering with Starbucks and Microsoft as far as making allowing access to cryptocurrencies more predominant. So don't let these guys fool you. They know where the action is. They know where the future is as far as currencies and money and transactions and payment systems are concerned. So don't let them lie to you. Let's take a look at this article because we've got a lot to cover, by the way. This particular article illustrates some of the financial challenges that people are going through on a daily basis. Particularly the millennials are trying to learn and take a lesson and not have the same thing happen to them that's happening to a lot of baby boomers. So let's take a look at what the millennials are up to. This article is titled, "The New Retirement Plan, Save Almost Everything, Spend Virtually Nothing." Again, the new retirement plan, save almost everything, spend virtually nothing. A group of younger workers, devotees of the FIRE movement, are seeking ways to duck mistakes made by prior generations. Sylvia Hall wants to retire at age 40. Her dream has a price, brown bananas. The 38-year-old Seattle lawyer is on a strict budget as she tries to hit her goal of amassing $2 million in assets by 2020. That means saving about 70% of her after-tax income and setting firm spending limits in every part of her life. She looks for brown bananas and other soon-to-be-discarded items from fruit and vegetable stands to help keep her grocery bills around $75 a month. She walks to work so she doesn't have to spend money on gas. She borrows Netflix passwords from friends so she doesn't have to spend much on entertainment. Excuse me. The idea of not having to wait to 65 to start living on my own terms appealed to me, she said. For a new generation of Americans, the traditional age of 65 is getting old. Some of the youngest members of the U.S. workforce are saving aggressively and spending little so they can leave work decades ahead of schedule, defying the career arc that typically defines adult life. Their reasons for flouting conventional career norms and saving at high rates range from dissatisfaction with unfulfilling work to the decline of traditional social safety nets to a desire for more economic security in an era defined by events such as the 2008 financial crisis. Even though they are better educated than their parents and grandparents, people between 25 and 35 have less wealth than prior recent generations and are behind in almost every economic dimension, said Elisa Monell, director of the Boston College Center for Retirement Research, including earnings and debt. They're also watching the generation entering retirement struggle with many of the same problems. About 10,000 people turn 65 every day, and many are unprepared for the years ahead. Older Americans have high average debt. Their 401k type retirement funds will bring in a median income of under $8,000 a year for a 65-year-old couple. The younger generation's radical solution, dubbed financial independence, retire early, has spawned an ecosystem of podcasts, blogs, books, conferences, and informal discussion groups. One online forum dedicated to the concept known to its followers by the acronym FIRE has more than 450,000 subscribers. FIRE adherents are often millennials and younger members of Generation X who have college degrees, above average incomes, and the discipline to adopt a strict do-it-yourself approach to retirement. Some say they are saving as much as 3/4 of their income or 5 times the 15% savings rate conventional financial advisors often recommend and growing their own food. Others are taking more modest measures such as living in smaller houses and driving older cars. It gives people more control over their lives and time, says Grant Sabatier, 33, who writes a blog about the topic called Millennial Money. We live in uncertain times, and financial empowerment provides a path out. The downside of fire is inherent paradox. For those seeking financial security, early retirement can be risky, since many early retirees rely solely on income from stocks, bonds, or real estate for living expenses. Sudden market downturns can pose a threat to their plans. At the same time, these people have to forecast their cost of living for decades. That means prolonged periods of high inflation can wreck their forecasts and budgets. The self-reliance and thrift embodied by FIRE have roots in American history. Elements of the philosophy can be found in Ben Franklin's 1758 classic, The Way to Wealth, Ralph Waldo Emerson's 1841 essay, Self-Reliance, and Henry David Thoreau's Walden, an 1854 book about living simply in a cabin he built near Concord, Massachusetts. Many FIRE boosters cite a more recent work, the 1992 book Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez. These paying to financial independence and anti-consumerism, a business bestseller in the 1990s, found a new audience after the 2008 financial crisis. Millennials understand the rules have changed, said Ms. Robin, now 73. They understand that the system their parents built is coming apart. FIRE enthusiasts gather around the country to discuss ways to save more, spend less, and manage investments. A recent meetup in Manhattan attracted close to 30 people to an office conference room. The attendees, mostly men in their 20s and 30s, several with backgrounds in engineering, discussed taxes, index funds, and real estate investing over beer and potato chips. We are surrounded by consumerism, advertisements, and marketing, and there are a lot of easy ways to spend, said David Rodriguez, 33, a mechanical engineer who helped organize the meeting. It's important to have a place to find like-minded people. The interest in thrift is flourishing most visibly online, where frugality evangelists amass large followings via podcasts, blogs, and conferences. One of the most popular FIRE blogs, Mr. Money Mustache, started in 2011, has attracted about 2.5 million page views in the past 30 days, according to Google Analytics data. A podcast devoted to the topic, Choose FI, has been downloaded 5.2 million times and been played in 190 countries since its inception in early 2017, according to podcast hosting service Liberated Syndication. This puts it in the top 2% of the more than 50,000 podcasts the service hosts. Attendees at FI Chattanooga, Chautauqua, a week-long financial independence conference, spent up to $3,000 this year, not including airfare, to go to Greece and hear leaders in the FIRE community share tips. Some who have tried the path of early retirement say it isn't always idyllic as it sounds. Socializing with people who still have conventional jobs can be awkward, said Ed Dito, 49, who retired at 36 as an energy trader and now writes the Early Retirement Dude blog. His solution is to invite friends and neighbors to backyard potlucks. I don't bring up the fact that I don't have a job, he said. If someone is interested, I'll talk about it, but I don't want to run the risk of stirring up resentment. Brandon Ganch, 36, who retired from his job as a software engineer in 2016, said his frugality became an obsession, and he stressed over small purchases by his wife. He often got upset when visitors took long hot showers at his former Vermont home, or his wife ordered a $15 main course instead of a $10 sandwich at a restaurant. It wasn't healthy, said Mr. Granch, who now lives in Scotland. Frugal Woods author Elizabeth Thames quit her nonprofit job so she could concentrate on a blog about life as a rural Vermont homesteader, a dream made possible by extreme frugality, her website says. It says she has found everything from coats to fondue pots to wine glasses in the trash, and that her husband learned to fix the plumbing. One complaint from readers was that the 33-year-old author and her husband still earned sizable incomes. Nate Thames works for a nonprofit and was paid about $270,000 in 2016, according to his employer's most recent tax forms. Ms. Thames makes an undisclosed amount from her blog and a recently published book. Now I understand why even with cutting back everything, now I understand why even with cutting everything to the bone that we haven't been able to save like they do, a reader posted in an online review of the book. And I just have to say so myself. I watched a documentary a few ago about this couple, Nate Thames and his wife. And believe it or not, Elizabeth and Nate, they don't remind me of the typical couple that's actually forced to cut back and live in an extreme frugal situation. I think they may be, as disclosed later, they may be just trying to take advantage of this movement. Sometimes when you have these hot movements or things that are catching fire on the internet and everybody's interested, unfortunately what happens is you get a bunch of people who just want to take advantage. It's almost like selling picks and shovels to gold miners as compared to going out there and actually doing the digging. So beware, you guys, of the people who are taking advantage, and they're telling you how they're benefiting from living in a frugal fashion, when in actuality they're probably working their butts off 9 to 5, and or maybe they got inheritance from grandma for $300,000, or their 9 to 5 job actually pays them $250,000 a year. Those people aren't necessarily typical examples of frugality, mainly because they may not be living in a frugal fashion at all, but they could be writing blogs and doing podcasts and such, trying to lead you to believe that they're practicing what they preach, when in actuality they may not be. Moving right along, Miss Thames says she is transparent about the fact that my husband still works a conventional job from home, and that I enjoy working myself through frugalwoods.com. Mr. Sabatier, 33, says his Millennial Money website made $401,000 last year. Blogger Joe Udo, 44, recently disclosed he has made almost $350,000 since starting retired by 40 in 2010. Again, a lot of these people are inflating their numbers. They're creating the perception, I think, in my opinion, that they're very successful in this frugal movement, but in actuality, a lot of people just want you to believe that these guys are successful, when in actuality, they're just trying to attract followers. So be careful. Tanya Hester, author of a blog called Our Next Life, called for fire bloggers to be more transparent about their financial lives in a post this year. She says she makes less than $1,000 a year on the blog, but declines to disclose her income from a book advance, saying there's no need to share your actual numbers if you're honest with readers about your general financial situation. So again, a lot of people are leading you to believe that they live really frugally and all these things, but book advances, inheritances, energy trading employees who made $200,000 a year. These people are probably doing more talking as compared to living frugally, so be careful. Emma Pate, 28, discovered she missed the social benefits of office life. She left the job in marketing 2 years ago with the goal of writing a novel. She had $150,000 in savings and more than $900,000 in real estate equity, stemming from a $144,000 home she purchased in Portland, Oregon in 2012. That she says tripled in value, enabling her to purchase 4 other rental properties. Ms. Pate, who married in 2015, says she and her husband, Andrew Hanna, 33, lived off the rental income of the problems that could trip her up, from unexpected health expenses to a prolonged bear market. But she says she has a detailed plan to secure health insurance abroad, and if a market downturn dents her nest egg, she is confident she can adjust her lifestyle. The goal is to try to live in such a way that I won't be forced to go back to work. Fire proponents say they account for the danger of fluctuating markets by adhering to a rule of thumb pioneered by financial planner William Bengen, who concluded retirees should spend no more than 5% of their nest egg, adjusted annually for inflation, to ensure a high probability of supporting themselves over decades. It isn't quite that simple, Mr. Bergen, 71, said in an interview. Young retirees are more vulnerable to unexpected expenses, and this rule applies only to tax-advantaged 401ks and individual retirement accounts for as long as 30 years. It took a Category 5 catastrophe for Sylvia Hall to start thinking of changing her approach to her finances. When Hurricane Katrina struck the Gulf Coast in 2005, Ms. Hall, then a New Orleans resident, temporarily lost a home and a paycheck as the first payments were due on $101,600 in law school debt. The uncertainty was so unsettling, Ms. Hall instituted a strict budget. She started buying discounted meat on its expiration date, took a second job delivering pizzas, and began saving half of her $50,000 salary after her law firm reopened in 2006. After setting aside about $250 a month for discretionary expenses, Ms. Hall devoted the rest, over $2,000 a month, to student loans. By 2009, she had paid off all but $35,000, which she consolidated at 1.6%. Not having anything freed me up to not be beholden to stuff and status, and to be comfortable and happy with less, Ms. Hall said. There's something liberating about that. She stumbled on the Mr. Money Mustache blog in 2012 after moving to Seattle. The idea of retiring early resonated. She increased her savings to about 70% of her after-tax proceeds, which are now about $100,000, and limited her spending to no more than $30,000 annually. That includes $2,400 a year on car and homeowners insurance, $10,200 on mortgage payments, and a $75 a month on groceries. Her grocery budget is so detailed she knows how much she will pay each month for oatmeal. A 5-pound box costs her $3. Blueberries, a 5-pound bag costs $10. Popcorn, a 1 pound for $2, and rice 60 cents per pound. Now a vegan, she buys fruit at a stand that sells a table of things that didn't sell at steep discounts, including brown bananas she freezes and uses for smoothies. An occasional splurge is a $5 bottle of wine or a box for $15. Ms. Hall, who is single, frequently has friends over for potluck dinners, travels using rewards points on her credit cards, and buys season tickets to the theater for a price that works out to about $15 a month. I've always lived on very little, but never felt I was deprived, she said. If I made twice the money, I don't think anything would change. There's nothing I want that I don't have. That's the end of that article. I just want to throw in there real quick, you guys. In addition to frugality, don't take for granted that, consumerism will definitely get you into trouble, okay? Just going out there buying stuff and spending all of your hard-earned money, that will definitely get you into trouble. And saving or being frugal in an extreme sense there's nothing wrong with that. You can save and do very well, but don't take for granted the fact that you want to be an entrepreneur also. If you can, be an entrepreneur. Look at the idea of being self-employed. Go from consumerism to being a producer. There's nothing like, for instance, what I accomplished in my life. I not only was very frugal, living off beans and rice and such for a long period of time while I was single, but I also worked numerous part-time jobs. A lot of them I got fired from over and over again, but that didn't stop me. I went to school part-time while working part-time jobs, and made sure that when I got my education, that I was able to learn more about personal finance, learn more about investing, learn more about business administration, so that I could leverage that knowledge and invest at a level that made my money work very, very hard for me, particularly when I was younger. So, in addition to starting a business, I started a business, same business I have now, and the money from the customers really contributed to a great deal. There's nothing more satisfying than spending someone else's money while saving your own money. A lot of times, the money that I spent, that I saved was put into stocks and such, and look into DRIPs, or dividend reinvestment plans, a cheap way of accumulating stocks in companies. I did that very successfully for a long, long time, and I don't know if it's still available. Hopefully it is, but look into DRIPs, look into Bitcoins, look into cryptocurrencies. That's one of the best performing assets. Dollar cost average your way into things that you want to invest in. I don't care if it's stocks, I don't care if it's Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, I don't care what it is. If you can dollar cost average your way into certain investments, that's a very cheap and affordable way of bringing down the average cost of whatever it is that you're investing in, to a point where you don't pay too much when things are high, you don't pay too low when you don't always get the biggest discount when things are low. You get an average somewhere in between. Okay, that's why they call it dollar cost averaging. So look it up if you need to, or Investopedia or whatever. But look it up and understand that being an entrepreneur, in addition to being frugal, in addition to making customers or allowing customers to pay your bills and such, and not only pay your bills, but if you can take customer money and put that away into your investment portfolio, real estate, stocks, cryptocurrencies, whatever it is, you also do very well. So as I like to say at the conclusion of every single podcast, stay safe out there and keep your eyes and ears open. Have a great day. Thank you. Take care. Bye.